Okay, so yo, what's up guys, my name's Bear the Buff, or Bear, whatever you want to call me, and in today's video I wanted to show you guys my Maya build, just like how I did my Gunzerker build before, where I showed you the guns I use, the setup and the build and everything, all the skill points that I've put into all the skills. I thought I'd do my Maya one as well, because Maya I've played a lot just as I've played Gunzerker, so I know a lot about her build, about some of the best skills to use, so I thought I'd show you guys. So yeah, just like before, I'll start off with showing you all my guns and stuff. And then we'll go over the skills and why I'm using them and everything. So to start off, as of where to put the guns, you can kind of put the guns wherever you want. I like to have the main guns that I use for damage, because the build I'm going to be showing you is the BeeHawk build, you know, consisting of the Sandhawk and the Bee Shield. So, you know, you can have your guns wherever you want, but what I normally rock with is, I usually have a Northfleet in at least one of the slots, because you can get up with the Sandhawks in this build, but the Northfleet is a good alternative just to have there. So if you ever go down and you need to get back up, you can, you know, shoot some enemies and get back up. Because the Northfleet, it's, anyone who plays this game knows the Northfleet is just crazy. Next we've got the Grog Nozzle. Obviously your healing factor, it's great. The Grog Nozzle is amazing, because what you can do is, say you ever get damaged and you're running low on health, you're running about, all you do is pull out your Grog, phase lock an enemy, and all that damage will be put into health, so that'll just knock your health back up. So obviously you want the Grog on. Now obviously, as I said, this is the Sandhawk Bee Shield build, so I'm going to be rocking two Sandhawks here. Now the Sandhawks you use pretty much depend on what area you're going through. If you're going to go through a loader area, may as well use a corrosive one. If you're going to go through a flesh area, you know, you can whack on, where is it? You can whack on a fire one. There, fire one. But if you just want to go around and just kill a bunch of crap, the shotgun's probably the one to go for. But it really just depends on what area you're going for. So yeah, that's for the Sandhawks. But I usually rock one shock and one corrosive, and then if I'm going to go and do a flesh area or a flesh boss, I'll whack a fire one on. So yeah, that's there for them. For the shield, obviously, as I say, this is a Sandhawk Bee Shield build, so we're going to be using the Bee Shield. I usually use the grounded bee for the immunity to electric damage, just for the less damage against your shield. But to be fair, you can use whichever one. Mainly the one that does more amp damage, to be fair, because you kind of want the most amp damage you can get out of everything. As for grenade, just like the Gunzerker, I'm going to be using Quasar, because I just love the Quasar. It's probably my favourite grenade in the game. I just love being able to pull enemies away, stop them from firing, just whatever they're doing to damage you. And obviously you can heal off it. As for the class mod, we're going to be using Legendary Cat. And this is because, as we're using the Sandhawks, which are SMGs, this does plus 138% damage with SMGs. So that is a crazy amount more damage you do with submachine guns, which obviously Sandhawks are submachine guns. So it just amplifies the damage you're going to be doing a lot. It does reduce the accuracy, but that's really not noticeable at all. Like, it's just not noticeable at all. As for the relic, I'm using a shock damage one because I've got a shock on. But again, as I say, if you're going to go through a loader bot area, use a corrosive relic. If you're going to go for a flesh area, use an incendiary damage one. It just depends on which Sandhawk you're going to be using at the time. Also, a thing to note on the Sandhawks is I've got the flying proficiency here. Now, you can get different ones such as stopping or skirmish, but the main one you want to kind of have is flying, because the flying one basically makes the bullet speed a lot quicker, so the bullets get to your enemy quicker. So as you'll see here, when you shoot a Sandhawk, obviously it's like a flying bird projectile, like a hawk. But if you've got the stopping one, it's a lot slower than this. So if you know, facing a quick moving target and they're jumping all over the place, it can be a bit hard to actually hit your target. So you kind of want to get the flying one if you can. It can be a pain in the ass to get, I will admit, but it's the best one to go for. So yeah, that's the build, guys. That's everything I use. To be honest as well, this build, you don't really have to use the Sandhawks and the Bee Shield. Like, honestly, if you ever feel like mixing it up to have a bit of fun, you can whack the Butcher on, you can whack the Conference Call on, something like that. And if I was to whack the Conference Call on, all I'd do is change Legendary Cat for Legendary Siren, because that just gives overall gun damage then. So, obviously, you're getting bonus gun damage for the shotgun, as well as cooldown rate. So, you don't necessarily have to do a BeeHawk build, but that is the build I'm showing, that is the build I'm using here, and it's definitely the best damage build for Maya. It's definitely her most damage output build, so it's the one to go for, really. As for the skills, I'll start from the left and move the way to the right, because we kind of dip into all of them a bit, but mainly the left and right ones. So to start off, we've got Ward. Now Ward, obviously, it improves your shield capacity, which is, it's cool and everything, but it's not really the main thing. The main thing is the shield recharge delay. Obviously minus 40%, the B shield giving amp damage when it's fully up. You want your shield up as much as possible, so having that there just reduces the time you've got to wait to get your amp damage back. Accelerate, 1 bullet speed, like the Sandhawks, that helps a lot. Plus overall gun damage, like why not go for this? Plus the legendary cat adds 5 to this, so you're getting a lot of more bonuses out of using that. Next we've got suspension, which increases the duration of phase lock. Now, a lot of her abilities make you have benefits while phase lock is active, so having that active actually helps because it adds them abilities. But also with these abilities, which I'll talk about in a sec, that really helps. So getting that is probably the best. Fleet movement speed increases while your shield is depleted. Now, I'll talk about the reason you want to use this in a sec. But as a general, if your shield's down, you getting hit basically. So you want to be able to move out of the way quicker. So that's a good thing to have just in general. Converge. This is sort of like how I love the Quasar. When you phase lock an enemy, it pulls all nearby enemies towards that. Now this also helps with the skill over here called Ruin, which I'll talk about in a sec. That basically means that all the enemies around that enemy that got phase locked get the elemental effect, because Ruin adds elemental effect. But like I say, I'll talk about that in a sec. But for one skill point, you do want to pick that up. It's really helpful. Next is Quicken, increase the cooldown rate of your phase lock ability. Again, your phase lock is a big thing because of Ruin. Like, this tree explains a lot as to why you want to use these abilities. So, like, having a faster cooldown, you get access to Ruin more, you get access to like loads of different things. It really helps to be able to have that as quick as possible. Plus, like I say, if you're getting damaged and you need to pull out a grog and phase lock, it's helpful to have. So I'll talk more about that as well with Ruin in a sec. Next is Subsequence. Now, when an enemy under the effect of your phase lock dies, there is a chance for your phase lock to seek out another target. Now, if you max this out, this is 100%. So every time you kill a phase lock target, that will then go to another enemy. Now, the good thing about this is, again, suspension. Having longer duration, you've got longer time for that to take effect. You've got more chance of killing more targets, phase locking more enemies. Now also, each time you kill a target and it phase locks another enemy, Converge then goes through. That pulls all the enemies around again. So you're basically pulling all the enemies around. But I'll explain Ruin now just to help with that. But Ruin, on this skill tree, every time you phase lock an enemy, it slags, electrocutes and corrodes all of them. Now, what happens is, as I say, you phase lock an enemy, which it lasts a long time for suspension. You kill the enemy, and because of Subsequence, it goes to another enemy. Now, because it goes to another enemy, well, when you first phase lock them, it pulls them together as well, which will make Ruin take effect. So all them enemies will get, like, you know, slagged, corroded, electrocuted. But then, as I say, you kill that enemy, that'll then phase lock another enemy, which will happen because you've got suspension on, which means you can get more enemies, which will then again pull them all together, which will then again make Ruin proc. So you basically, you phase lock an enemy, you kill that enemy, and there's just loads of enemies getting pulled about, getting elemental effect on them, and it's an awesome way to keep your enemies, 1, staggered, and 2, elemental affected. Especially Slag, being a Slag increases damage so much in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. So it is really good to have all them abilities in conjunction with each other. It's a really good build. So that's that for Motion Tree. As for Harmony, we've got Mind's Eye, increases critical hit damage and melee damage. Now, the melee damage is kind of irrelevant. You don't ever want to melee with Maya, really. But the critical hit damage is the big point. 50% more critical hit damage, and most of the time you're going to be aiming for crits anyway, especially if you phase locked an enemy. That's really good to have. Plus, that is the same as Accelerate, where it's got +5 for Legendary Cat. So, you may as well pick it up anyway. Next we've got Wreck. Now, while you have an enemy phase locked, you gain increased fire rate and damage with all gun types. This is what I was saying about suspension. With an added 2.5 seconds, you've got 2.5 more seconds of fire rate and gun damage with all gun types. So, it just works well with that, and plus fire rate and gun damage. Like, them are 2 things you're really, really going to want to have. So, it's best to pick that up. Also, again, Legendary Cat adds 5 to it, so you're getting even more benefits from it. Now, the next skill I've got is Res. Now, Res is kind of, if you play with friends a lot, Res is good to have, because Maya's like team synergy is amazing because of Res. Like, Res is one of their key features. So if an enemy goes down, you can instantly revive them by phase locking them. So obviously this helps massively if you're in a boss fight, if you're in an area with a lot of mob enemies and you need to help your friend get up, you can just instantly res them, and that is a really good thing. I always keep it on because sometimes I play with friends, and to be fair, half the time I can't be asked to keep switching, not gonna lie. But if you don't really play with friends often, you just play solo, what I do is take res off and put that into fleet, because fleet is a really good skill to have at obviously the movement speed, but I'll explain more about that in a second. Now that's that for that skill tree. As for Cataclysm, we've got Flicker. Increase your chance to cause elemental status effect with fire, shock, corrosive and slag. Now, like, to be fair, a lot of this you kind of want to pick up just to get down the skill tree to these skills, but increasing the effect, like the chance of affecting an enemy with an element, it's pretty good to have. It's pretty good to have. Next we've got Foresight. Increase magazine size and reload speed. Now with the Sandhawk, it shoots a lot of bullets really quick. As you'll see, it shoots them in bursts, and you can see the ammo in the bottom right, it goes down really quick. So one, having a higher magazine size helps a lot because you know you have to reload less, but then having the reload speed, again, that helps because when you do have to reload, you're good to go like really quick. Like, you know, 50% more reload, that's a lot, to be fair. Plus again, legendary cat adds to it. Why not pick it up? Now next we've got Immolate. Now again, these two pretty much I've just got to get down the skill tree because, you know, getting more skill points to get down here, and plus I had a few remaining over when making this build, so I kind of just whacked them in there. But one, you've got Immolate. Incendiary damage to all shots fired while in fight for your life. I mean, it's not really that much of a big deal, but I mean, if you ever go down, it's a little bit extra damage to maybe get you up. You never know, it could be the boost you need to get up. So, plus, like I say, I'm not really fond of putting it anywhere else, so just whack it in there. Next, we've got Helios. Now, phase lock an enemy causes a fiery explosion. Now, this kind of works as Ruin does. With you phase locking an enemy, like pulling them all together, that does the Nova Blast on them, all them enemies, so that does damage to all of them. But then again, you've got Subsequence, you kill that enemy, phase locks another one, pulls them all together, does the Helios explosion again. So you're just getting more damage on the enemies, really. It's a really good like skill to have. Next, you've got Chain Reaction. Now, while you have an enemy phase locked, all of your shots that hit enemies have a chance to ricochet and hit another nearby enemy. Now, again, this was to get down the skill tree and add extra points left over. So, you know, and to be honest, like shooting an enemy, you've got a chance of them bullets going to another enemy. Why not? That's, if you phase lock an enemy ever and you're just shooting them, you could ricochet, kill another enemy, especially with the amount of damage you're doing. Like, that will sometimes kill enemies and you just won't know it. So that's a good skill to have. Next, we've got Cloud Kill. Now, Cloud Kill used to be one of the most irrelevant skills ever. Even though it's cool as hell, it used to be one of the most irrelevant skills ever. But they did buff Cloud Kill to where it does a lot more damage now. So, you know, every time you shoot an enemy, it creates an acid cloud, which is cool anyway, I think. But, like I say, they've buffed it now, so it is actually viable. And it causes constant corrosive damage. So, if you're going through a loader area, even if you're not using a corrosive weapon, which most of the time you'll be using a corrosive Sandhawk, that will then do a lot more damage to them as well. Plus any other enemies you're hitting, it's doing more damage. A lot of this is just all stacking up damage for you, so it's another good perk to have. Now Reaper, you deal increased gun damage to any enemy with more than 50% health remaining. And that's 80% because of the class mod as well. Now, you know, half the time when you're going through areas, you're going to fight new enemies, they're going to have more HP. It's just a lot of help. Plus, when you're fighting bosses, that's a lot of damage right at the start you're getting. You know, it's really helpful. 80% more damage, you know, why would you not go for that? Now, Blight Phoenix, again, this is kind of another perk to get down the tree, but this is badass as hell because basically killing an enemy causes you to deal constant incendiary and corrosive damage to nearby enemies for a short time. Now, that sounds like, you know, meh. But what happens is when you kill an enemy, you get these badass fire wings that pop off your back. And Maya just looks so awesome with it. Like, if you ever kill an enemy, pause, like not pause your game, but go into the menus and it like freeze the game if you're on solo, and just check out Maya with them badass wings. It is awesome. So that is why you want to pick that skill up, because you look like a badass. And then for the last skill, we've got Ruin, which, as I say, Ruin is like key to all this as well. As I say, Ruin phase like an enemy, slags, electrics, and corrodes. So just like Helios, and just like I said before, when you phase like an enemy, Converge brings them all together. That will do all the elemental effects to all them enemies nearby, which then you kill another enemy, which will phase like them again, which will then bring them together again because of Converge, which Ruin will then take effect again, and Helios. So you can imagine when you phase like an enemy, and there's all this shit going on, there's just a bunch of damage going out to the enemy. So it all works really well in conjunction with each other. But yeah, guys, that's the build I've gone with. I was going to explain the skills I didn't use, but to be fair, I thought it would be kind of a waste of time. I'd just be saying the same thing, really. I'd just be like, oh, it's not worth it. This isn't worth it, man. I just thought I'd go over the skills I was using and why I was using them. Because, as I say, the other skills I'd just be repeating myself. So yeah, guys, that's the build. And it might not be as in-depth as with Gunzerker, but it's Gunzerker. There's loads of shit going on with Money Shot and all this, but Maya's build is still a really in-depth build. And honestly, like, I love the Gunzerker for his solo raiding like ability, but Maya is hands down my favourite character. It is so much fun going around areas, phase locking enemies, shooting them, pulling enemies about, corroding enemies, slagging enemies, electrocuting enemies constantly. And honestly, Maya has some crazy DPS with this Sandhawk build, because what happens is the Sandhawk, as I've shown you before, it shoots in projectiles like a hawk. Now that has about 7 pellets in it. Now what happens is the B shield amplifies every single bullet of that like hawk. So even though the Sandhawk has quite mediocre damage, to be fair, especially for OP8 levels, each bullet gets amplified by the B shield, which is why the Sandhawk has so much damage, because each projectile is getting the buff, not just one like how other SMGs would be. Even though these SMGs are pretty good, because of the fact that the amp damage amps every single shot, it means that the Sandhawk just overwhelms these guns by a lot. So it's definitely the best gun to use. Now Maya's, she's like I say, she's an awesome character, definitely my favourite. The only thing is, Maya isn't really a solo raid bossing sort of character. You can't really take on... You can kill raid boss with her, but it's a lot harder than what it is like Gunzerker. Gunzerker, you can pull out your pistols and just go ham. Whereas Maya, it takes a lot more, you know, running about, a lot more manoeuvring yourself, like stopping enemies being able to hit you, basically. So it is a lot harder to raid boss as Maya than someone like Gunzerker, but she can definitely still hold her own in boss fights. Especially, like I said, as a team. If you're in raid boss as a team, she is a great character to have, being as she's got skills such as Res and Ruin. So like boss fights, especially the raid bosses, usually have a high resistance to like elemental effects. And obviously in Ultimate Vault Hunter, you want to slag bosses so you can get that, you know, quadruple damage. But Ruin, no matter what, will slag the enemy. So having her in your team, like, you can constantly slag bosses, which is just awesome. Plus her phase lock ability, when you get all these cooldown rates from abilities like where was it somewhere here, Quicken, you know, it really helps because you can keep that slag up constantly. Plus she's got res, so if you ever go down in a fight, especially a key character, like say you've got a Krieg tanking or you've got a Gunzerker doing damage and they go down, and in a boss fight like Veracidus, where it may be hard to get up, or Hyperius, you can quickly get them up with res and not have to worry about someone standing there for like 10 seconds reviving them. So Maya's awesome as a team player. As a solo raider, like I say, she's not the greatest, but she can still hold her own. So yeah, Maya is a boss. Also guys, I'll quickly show you what I was saying about fleet. The fleet is when the shield's down, you know, you get extra movement speed. So what you can do is if you whack a Rough Rider on, you get that constant movement speed all the time because your shield is 0, it's classed as being down. Now if you can get an Unyielding or Breakneck Banshee class mod with +6 to fleet, this makes fleet 100% more movement speed. And like I say, if you take res off and whack it in there, that's 110% movement speed. Now the cool thing about this is you can run really fast around areas. Now, so if you go and farm like the midgets where you've got to run from like, you know, the arena to there, Maya's like one of the best characters because of this. You can just run there so quick. and it makes it a lot quicker. You can farm them twice as fast as many other characters. So that's a cool thing about Fleet that I wanted to show you guys. But yeah guys, that's about all this build summed up. Sorry if it was a bit of, well, a lot of information all to take in one go, but I tried to explain it the best I could and as quick as I could, so I didn't drag it out too much, because I didn't want it to be like 30 minutes long explaining like abilities for 4 minutes when it's simple. So yeah, but I hope this was informative of how Maya works, one of her awesome builds, which is the BeeHawk build, probably my favourite build. And yeah guys, I hope you can use this build and, you know, wreck some bosses, kill some ads, and have some fun. I'll put some clips in the end guys, just so you can see this build in action and see what it's like. And yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next one.
I used to walk these roads with you. Can't remember the last time I went without you. Where do I go? Where do I go? How will I know? How will I know? I used to walk these roads with you. The last time I went without you. Where do I go? Where do I go? How will I know? How will I know? I used to walk these roads with you. Can't remember the last time I went without you. Where do I go? Where do I go from here? Where do I go? Where do I go from here? Where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go from here? Where do I go? I used to walk these roads with you. Can't remember the last time I went without you. Where do I go? Where do I go? used to walk these roads with you. Can't remember the last time I went without you. Where do I go? Where do I go from here? Where do I go? Where do I go from here? I used to walk these roads with you. Can't remember the last time I went without you. Where do I go? Where do I go? How will I know? How will I know? I used to walk these roads with you. Can't remember the last time I went without you. Where do I go? Where do I go from here? Where do I go? Where do I go from here? Where do I go? Where do I go? How will I know? How will I know? I used to walk these roads with you. Can't remember the last time I went without you. Where do I go? Where do I go from here? Where do I go? I used to walk these roads with you. Can't remember the last time I went without you. Where do I go? Where do I go? How will I know? How will I know? I used to walk these roads with you. Can't remember the last time I went without you. Where do I go? Where do I go from here? Where do I go? Where do I go from here? to walk these roads with you.